We're gonna do a cake for the.
I'm used to the weather.
That's a good idea. That would be up to Sarah.
Next week I'll be dealing with 91 degrees.
Not on my calendar. I look at my calendar.
This Thursday,
Warm in here. We're having a
this Thursday to next Friday.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You're thinking.
San Diego Zoo, Disney,
I said it.
Oh, I thought you said.
some other place. There's
Well, we used to give little keys to them. Well, Sarah might be gone.
She's never missed it.
Sarah might be.
we did that last year, but it was like this kind of weather. It was fun though.
Sheriff's here.
Exactly.
Sheriff's.
20-minute waits.
Yeah, sheriff's truck down there. Yeah. Oh, and. I'll call the meeting to order. Richard, do you have the roll call? And we'll have the invocation by Pastor Jim Minkler from the Seabird Church of God. If we'll all stand, please.
Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for a new day of life. Thank you for this place that you've allowed us to live in, how you've blessed it, Lord, this time of year, the success of the Cranberry Festival, Lord, the change of the weather that we needed so drastically. Father, I thank you that you answered prayers that were lifted up for the fire, that you kept homes from being lost. Thank you for the firefighters that have worked so hard. We pray you would continue to strengthen them, help them to put it out all the way. But we praise you for that, Lord. Lord, I also want to pray for Anthony Zanino. We thank you for all he's done for this town. And I know, Lord, that he is still battling. And we want to bring him before you. Lord, you know our beginning, you know our end, but I would ask if it would bring glory to your name, that we would work a miracle and touch his body. But just pray that you would encourage him and comfort him this day. Thank you for these men and women who serve our town. Give them wisdom today and be over everything that's said and done here. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jim. And now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by our Council President, Madeline Seymour. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of agenda on our agenda tonight is the presentation of our new city manager, Tori Contreras. You want to say a few words?
Just like to say hello to the community of Bandon and the city council. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm from Southern California, a little town or city called Cerritos. And I've since retired from Cerritos and am now looking at a new adventure and career here at the city of Bandon. Met with a lot of staff today. It's the first day on the job. And excited to have an opportunity to participate in the city council meeting tonight. So again, thank you.
Thank you. We're so happy you're aboard.
Yes.
The next item is Beth Patrick, Volunteer of the Month. Josh, you gonna get the.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh. I didn't talk to you about that ahead of time, but I appreciate it. All right, we'll go asses. We'll do a picture at the end.
Oh, no.
Okay, it's okay. And good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, and our new city manager, Contreras. It was with great pleasure that the Greater Bandon Association recognizes and honors an outstanding member of our community. Each month, the Greater Bandon Association takes a moment to shine a light on a volunteer whose dedication and hard work have made an impact on our beautiful town. This month, we have the privilege of celebrating Mary Garrett as our volunteer of the month. Mary is not a newcomer to the world of volunteering. In fact, she is starting her third term as president of SEA, the Shoreline Awareness Organization. Shoreline Education for Awareness, almost got that wrong, didn't I? For those of you that haven't had the pleasure of meeting SEA volunteers, they're the individuals in the distinctive blue jackets and sweatshirts posted with spotting scopes up on the cliffs who educate visitors at Face Rock Wayside, Coquille Point, and Simpsons Reef. Mary has been a stalwart member of SEA for 9 years and has shown unwavering commitment to our coastline. Mary will be participating in the stewardship of the Marine Garden Program at Coquille Point, which is gearing up for an exciting launch in the spring, which we're really excited about. Her dedication to preserving the beauty of this natural wonderland is truly commendable. That Mary's service extends beyond the SEA program. If you ever spot her walking around town or on the beach, you'll likely see her with a baggie and a picker-upper, diligently picking up trash as she's walking around. She is a regular participant in NERDL patrols, helping document the millions of plastic pellets that wash up on our shores. Her involvement in this global effort contributes to raise awareness about the impact of plastic pollution here in Bandon and around the world. In addition to her environmental efforts, Mary is a valuable asset to the Charleston Marine Life Center. But there's more. Beyond her love and devotion to our natural world, Mary extends her helping hand to the St. John's Medical Loan Closet. This vital program temporarily lends essential medical equipment such as walkers, wheelchairs, and toilet risers to those in need for up to 3 months at a time. What makes Mary truly exceptional is that she does all this work quietly, frequently behind the scenes, without speaking the spotlight or recognition. And I will tell you, she is happy that I'm up here talking and she is not. She's very happy about that. She is the embodiment of humility and dedication. Mary, today we want to ensure that your tireless efforts do not go unnoticed. On behalf of the Greater Bandon Association and the entire community, I am delighted to present you with the Volunteer of the Month Award. You deserve this recognition and so much more for your unwavering commitment to making Bandon a better place for all. Thank you.
I want to mention Bill Benoist, who just passed away. He was a long time SEA member and he will be sorely missed.
Yes. Mary is receiving an engraved plaque and a gift certificate for $30 to the Wheelhouse Restaurant.
Oh.
Yes. All right, Josh is going to take a quick picture. It's my least favorite thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going into our hearings, and the first one is 4.1, and I'll defer to our city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, we have a public hearing item 4.1, 23046, an amendment to the comprehensive plan and Title 17 of the Bandon Municipal Code to address coastal public access. And for tonight's presentation, I'll defer to Dana Nichols.
Thanks. Oops. Is this working? Okay, and Mary, you have the script in front of you if you want to start by
Shall we start
reading
now?
that. And I think it directs staff to
Okay.
present in there.
I now declare this public hearing open at 7:07 PM on October 2nd. This is an official public hearing before the City Council of the City of Bandon for Planning Action 23-046, an amendment to the comprehensive plan and Title 17 of the Bandon Municipal Code to address coastal public access. Applicable criteria related to this action are listed in the staff report, available online through the city's website and as part of tonight's meeting agenda. Please address your comments to these criteria or the criteria you believe apply to this decision. What does the staff have to report, Dana?
All right, I've got just a brief presentation for you and I do have copies in front of you as well. So I wanted to let you know, first of all, if you can go to the next slide. Why we're updating this, it's gonna work. So the first reason we're updating this is because we got a grant to do it. The state of Oregon is updating their policy framework to strengthen the public access program. that addresses goal 17 of the Oregon land use goals, which is coastal shorelands. So just generally what we're doing here is we're looking at any area where there's public access along coastal shorelands, which includes both beaches and the rivers. This public access program goes all the way back to in 1913 when Oregon declared the shoreline as a public highway, which I thought was so fascinating. I did not know that. And then in 1967, Oregon's beach bill was the first of its kind to make our beaches public. That was any area that was seaward of the vegetation line. So the Department of Land Conservation and Development has the Oregon statewide land use goals, one of which is goal 17, and requires in cooperation with the Oregon Parks and Rec Department that we maintain some sort of public access program. In the past, we've done the bare minimum and literally just had the phrase in the OAR copy pasted into our comprehensive plan. So what this update did is inventory all of our public access sites and then strengthen our language around protecting and maintaining those. Next slide. So the first thing that I did was I worked with a woman named Claire Fiegner, who is the state's coastal public access coordinator. She went around and helped out by identifying all of these public access sites. They're both physical and visual sites, so physical access to the beach, but also view corridors. We developed an inventory of them, figured out who owned them, ensured we had the proper description of what was there, and then identified them as either primary or secondary and developed or undeveloped. Next slide. So once we did that, we realized we had to make some comprehensive plan amendments and update our code. So I'll go through the comp plan amendments and then I'll just say that the code amendments essentially say the same thing, but just in an implementing language. So it'll be up on the screen, but I won't read through it all so you don't have to hear it twice. So we had to add a couple definitions and we also added goals. So the first one was to develop the comprehensive public access program, which is what you have in front of you right now. One of the other goals is to balance the protection of cultural and natural resources with the need for public access. So just knowing that both the dunes that are out there we want to protect because they provide a useful natural resource. And we know that there are cultural artifacts along our waterfronts, but we also know that we like to access the beach and everyone likes to recreate out there. We also wanted to encourage equitable access. One of the things that we hear often at our Parks and Rec Commission meetings is that we have limited access for folks with disabilities. So as people age, in particular, our beaches have a lot of bluffs and not a lot of flat areas to be able to get out there. So that's something that we want to continue to explore is how can we get people with different abilities out on the beach. And finally, we'll continue consulting with the local tribal government for protection of those resources. Next slide. So then we broke down the policies into a couple different headings. So the first one is the city role and coordination. Again, the first policy is to develop and maintain a coastal public access program, which you're doing right now. That would be to maintain the inventory in the comp plan, and then again, keeping them updated about which ones are developed or undeveloped, and recognizing that we're retaining secondary access points that we might develop in the future. Acquiring land and easements to increase public access when appropriate. Considering negative impacts on cultural resources and natural habitats, again, coordinating with other entities, which would be the tribe, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And then we're also in the process of doing a transportation system plan update right now. So we'd like to include some of these policies in that TSP update. In particular, looking at whether or not we could get public transit to get people from the city center out to the beach. And again, adopt an implementing ordinance that you'll hear about in just a second. So then the next policy would be recreation. So this would develop sites that would have inclusive signage. If you read the Planning Commission minutes, this was an interesting discussion. Because I think the code or the language we came up with said something like provide Braille and provide all of these other things, which can be really expensive. But the sort of spirit of that code is to encourage people who maybe can't read that sign to still know all of the safety measures. One of the suggestions of our planning commissioners was to have a QR code that you can put on there that you could scan and have it read the safety measures to you. So thought that was very creative. The city, again, will coordinate with local tribes, considering any new sites or making changes, and also consider interpretive materials. We plan to meet or exceed ADA standards whenever developing new sites, and then provide parking, restrooms, and accessibility infrastructure. One of the questions from our Parks and Rec Commission when we presented this to them was, oh, does this mean we're putting new parking and restrooms out on the beach? And it does not. It just provides a plan that should we intend to do that in the future, we have some sort of layout for what it might look like. The other thing is, whenever we've applied for grants, having something in a plan is very helpful. When you ask for money, they know that you've already got it in your plan. So we want to make sure that those things are included in here. And then development standards, perfect, thanks. Shoreline stabilization will require that folks are continuing to provide beach access during any sort of construction. Commercial development on the waterfront would be encouraged to provide public access to coastal shorelands. So that would come up anytime we had a conditional use permit for a use on the water. We would continue to control access through the dunes, require access, public access at port and marina facilities, which we already do. We already have public access there. Encourage community docks rather than private moorages. I can think of only one example locally where that might come into play over by the Coast Guard building. There are a number of houses along there or uses along there that could have private moorages. We would instead encourage a sort of community space. And then considering accessibility elements when developing emergency evacuation routes and protecting archaeological and historical resources during development. So then finally, we've got some actions here that the city would develop the comprehensive public access program, which we are doing, and maintain the inventory, review our ordinances to align with the comprehensive plan language, require that all development be consistent with the language that we're adopting, and then update all of our forms. And so then finally, those code updates, like I said, I'm not going to read them to you again, but they're essentially just enforcing all of the comprehensive plan policies. One of the things I think that has gotten lost in our comprehensive plan is we have quite a few aspirational policies that never get implemented in the code. So we have a lot of dreams of things we'd like to see and then no way of enforcing them when development comes through the door. So what we've tried to do is sort of create these enforceable policies that are reflected in the code. So finally, I've got my recommendation here for you. I did not prepare an ordinance in case you had any changes that you wanted to make. At this point, you just we request that you approve the proposed changes and amendments to the comprehensive plan and then direct us to prepare an ordinance and findings. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.
We will now move on to public comment. This hearing is to be orderly and courteous. When it becomes your turn to testify, please state your name and address for the record. You will be given 3 minutes to share your comments. Please be mindful of your time. Are there any counselors? Oh, never mind. That's the next stage. Now, is anybody who wants to testify can testify now? Gone. All right, because the next one would be if the counselor wanted to ask questions of the person who had testified, and obviously that's no one's going to testify. Does staff have any comments or information? I think you've given us. So I think right now I'll close the public hearing and call for a motion. What? Oh, Chris. Oh, Chris has some questions.
Okay, you meant, yeah, I saw the thing about the Braille too, so I'm kind of curious. If they can't see with the Braille, how are they gonna work a QR code on the phone?
I mean, so this actually did come up in conversation with the planning commission too. I'm not one to describe or get in the way of what anyone would consider their disability, but some people don't necessarily have total vision impairment, but have like a moderate vision impairment that might not allow them to see tiny print on a sign. I can also think of those signs get sandblasted too. So I felt like we put Braille in there because that was sort of the standard language. It's probably not as functional or as modern as something like a QR code.
Okay,
And
so-
yes, I mean, maybe it doesn't make the most sense for everybody.
And this would just be for new, it wouldn't be for old stuff.
That's correct.
Okay, because like on page 4 here that you had like item 10 and 11 were.
Speaking into your mic.
Probably not on.
Yeah, on page 4, where you had on item 10 about some of the ADA stuff that accessible parking, restroom signage, pathways or docks, as well as offering seasonal mobility mats, which I have no idea what that is, and beach wheelchairs. I mean, are we gonna place those out there? Are they somebody gonna be responsible for them? I mean, where do they come from and who takes care of them?
Sure. So again, these are aspirational policies. These are things that we'd like to have. We have talked to the chamber actually about providing something like that. Other cities have, so the mobile mats, I think are actually pretty cool. They're a mat that rolls out onto the beach that you can bring a wheelchair or some other rolling device on. It just creates an even flat surface. And they're rugged, so they're meant to sort of live outside. We've talked with Margaret at the chamber about where or how we might store one of those either at the jetty or at the chamber, and then you pick it up and you bring it out. We wanted to leave it sort of purposefully broad with lots of options to fit any sort of grant funding that we might find in the future for something like this.
Okay.
But would not be a requirement, only sort of options.
Anyone else have any questions?
I just want to say those mats, they used them in Huntington Beach for a couple of years, and I think it was like maybe 5 years later, they kind of disappeared and never came back.
Isn't that funny?
I don't know why I didn't ask. So I just want to let you know that.
Thank you. We can look into it more and see if they're.
Do I hear?
Okay, well, the motion's not here, so.
Yes, it is.
Madam Mayor,
It's on the-
move to approve the proposed changes to Title
Where?
17 and amendments to the comprehensive
Oh,
plan
there.
and direct staff to prepare an ordinance and findings for adoption at the next meeting.
Second.
Been moved by Peter, seconded by Josh and Brian, that we approve the proposed changes to Title 17 and amendments to the comp plan and direct staff to prepare an ordinance and findings for adoption at the next meeting. All those in favor? Unanimous. And 4.2, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Agenda item 4.2 is a proposed increase to solid waste collection and disposal rates. This presentation will be provided by Bill Richardson, who's in the audience this evening.
Come on up, Bill.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Today I'm here to ask for a CPI adjustment for year 2022 based on the CPI West average. In your package, you'll find the CPI, which is calculated for the West at 8.5%. And if approved, the adjustment will result in a $1.76 per month increase for a basic 35-gallon residential cart and a $2.27 adjustment per yard for commercial service. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Anybody have any questions? No?
Nope.
Anybody in the audience wish to address this? I don't have to read the whole script, but anybody want to address this minimal increase? Okay,
So that's you
we'll
closing.
close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve and adopt resolution number 23-29 effective October 2nd, 2023.
Second.
Been moved by Peter, seconded by Josh or Chris. Okay, I can't tell. Okay. Seconded by Chris to approve, adopt resolution number 23-29. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. And just a quick note, we did start the brush pickup today in Bandon. So if you have brush, please get it out. So we're not going back 3 or 4 times.
Right.
So if I had a pile at, behind the cobbler's bench, I had done some yard
Okay.
work back there, but it
Sure.
never got picked up last year. So if I do that work and make sure it gets picked up. can I-
Yeah, just call me and let me know exactly where the location is so I can make sure that we swing in there.
Next to the dumpster.
Okay, oh, it's easy. Okay, that's an
Thanks,
easy
Bill.
one.
Thanks.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're going into action items. 5.1.1. Request for extension for an RV permit at 1333 9th Street Southwest. Dana, do you have a report on this?
Yes, I'm happy to speak on this one. So the city allows recreational vehicles to be parked on private property only during certain sort of scenarios. We have medical exemptions, religious exemptions. We also allow RV occupancy during construction. So you have to have an active building permit. You have to be approved by us. And it is valid for 6 months. So the permit goes for 6 months. You can request one additional 6-month extension. Those are both administrative, so staff decisions. And after that, they have to go to the city council. A property owner at 1333 9th Street received such approval in April of 2022, which brought him to October of 22. And then his last extension expired in May of 2023. He reached out to the city recorder requesting another 6-month extension, which is why we brought it here for you tonight. I did contact the building department to find out if he still has an active building permit, and they said the last time they were contacted was in May 2023. I was looking to see if he's here at all to provide any more context. Staff would just request that if you do approve, you require that they submit a site plan showing where they intend to park the RV and ensure that it's in compliance with the other RV chapter, which is the RV parking chapter 15.14. So please let me know if you have any questions.
Dana, do we know how much construction has actually been done on this proposed home?
Yes, the house is, I would say, we've done our first inspection, which is the one where we check their setbacks, and their second inspection, which is height. I think when I drove by last, and you were there probably more recently than me, but most of the exterior of the home has been done. We haven't been called for a final walkthrough of the home, so I couldn't tell you how the interior looks.
Okay, so the roof is on, the siding's on, concrete's in, the driveway's in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He applied in May and was it approved?
He did not, sorry, his last permit expired in May.
Oh, he's out
So
of
we
compliance.
notified him in May that he would have to move out of the RV. He couldn't be on site anymore unless he applied for an extension.
So has he moved out of the RV?
Jerry, pull down your mic.
Has he
please.
moved out of the RV?
Yes, I believe he's not currently living in the RV on property.
Okay, so he's complied with everything we've asked him to do.
That's correct.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to move to approve the request for a 6-month extension for a temporary RV occupancy at 1333 9th Street Southwest, with the condition that the applicant submit a site plan showing conformance with the requirements in chapter 15.14. And that's all you needed?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Second,
I didn't Moved by Madeline, Yeah, seconded something by Peter,
I have
that
a
we grant
question.
this request. Here's got a question.
What happens if we approve this and then he doesn't submit a site plan in the proper time?
I would say then he should not be allowed to occupy the RV.
Okay,
We do require a site plan to be submitted with,
within how many days?
ooh, you could make it more specific.
Well, yeah, I mean,
don't
you
know.
could do it in 6 months.
Do you have a requirement, June, through the city recorder's office? Within 10 days?
Within 10
Okay.
That works
days.
for
Okay,
me.
then I'll add to the motion within
Thank
10
you.
days.
Thank you, Madeline.
And I think we need to explain to him that this will probably be the last extension. So the house needs to be completed or he needs to find somewhere else to live.
We will pass that along.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, the next item, 5.1.2, ballot measure 110. This has to do with, I brought it to the council a month or so ago. The Coos County Commissioners, as have other boards of commissions across the state, they're calling for the repeal of ballot measure 110. And I did run this by our police chief, and he agrees, he has extremely concerning thoughts on measure 110, as do most police officers. But there is also momentum. There was an article in the paper, push to change measure 110, to change it, not necessarily to repeal it. So there are two real big groups of people in the state, one working to repeal it, trying to get enough signatures because it'll be a referendum. It was approved by the voters, so it would need to be referred back to the voters. And then there's this other group of Portland businessmen who are basically trying to just tighten it up so that they will recriminalize drugs. Drugs will be criminalized but there will still be treatment options available. Although they want to have language in there that if you are charged with drug possession, that you have an alternative. You either go to treatment or you go to jail. And that is what ballot measure 110 has failed to do. There's no consequence. You get a $100 traffic ticket, which is less than a Dewey ticket, for example. I think the district attorney said 98% of the people who receive these $100 tickets never go to court.
Nope.
So there's no absolute, and Portland is awash with drugs. And like Peter pointed out, it's opened the door for fentanyl, which is killing people at a very rapid rate. I think they've had over 1,000 fentanyl deaths. And so we just wanted to maybe somebody to put together just a little letter. We don't have to we even really refer to our resolution, just say that we support the efforts of the county commissioners in either overturning or strengthening ballot measure 110.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded that we send a letter of support. All those in favor, do you want to say something?
I'm confused. Are we directing ourselves to put
Well,
this?
somebody will put together a letter.
Yeah, then we just all.
This was just the first step.
Are we crafting a resolution to be sent, or is it just a?
Oh, just a letter,
Yeah.
just a letter in support.
Okay,
I think it's a letter of support of the resolutions that they drafted.
Will the letter have the same weight as
I-
the resolution would?
Well,
but I'm not, I gotta be
Pass a
honest, I'm in support of the effort to overturn or amend 110 here, but I'm not in support of the language of this resolution.
Right.
That's why I'm considering submitting a resolution from the city of Bandon that we craft on our own.
well, we can do that. And because we want Peter's concern, obviously, that the fentanyl is not addressed
Well,
in
there,
in the resolution.
in the language of this resolution, it really attributes all of the overdose deaths and the kids dying and all of this to measure 110. And this is directly attributed to fentanyl, and it doesn't address the proliferation of fentanyl in our society right now. And I think with one minor change to this, I think could be taken a little more seriously.
Okay. Well, I will just put something together. We can even bring it back to the.
Let's do that. Let's
Bring it back,
workshop.
we'll
this.
work something and bring it back to the council. All those in favor?
Let's have it ready for our work session for this month.
Okay,
Unanimous.
so
I don't know.
you get all that?
Got that, Jim?
Yes, you can't vote on anything in work session.
No, we wouldn't.
Well,
We're
actually.
gonna
talk
work
about
on
it.
drafting a resolution
Actually, you
Yeah.
and then
can.
bring it back.
Yeah, you
Say
before
you're
the-
going
yeah.
to. If you say you're going to, you
Or if we
can.
don't have a work session, just call a special meeting again.
Or at some,
Whichever.
it doesn't have to be. a
Well, and this
full
is not,
work
this
session.
is not an eminent thing. This is,
No.
this is going across the state now that everybody is finally waking up after 2 years of this monstrous law that something needs to be done. So now everybody's getting on the
Can we-
bandwagon and.
Madam Mayor, can we have some clarification for our minutes clerk?
Yes, Richard, what would you like?
Clarification of the motion, please.
Okay,
Which
hang on. Motion to draft a letter of repeal to overturn ballot measure 110 with language of fentanyl included. At our,
It's not a really
I
big
don't even
thing. I
think
mean,
we
it's,
need a motion to be quite.
we really
honest.
we
don't.
don't.
This is
but-
not necessary. Can you just skip that whole? We look like idiots.
We just need, this is not something we should be debating. Let's just
No.
say it's a bad
Yeah,
law and we
no.
want to do something.
We're gonna make an effort to.
The
drop-
city of,
We're
the
gonna
city
do
of
our part.
Medford just drafted a resolution to the same effect. Maybe we could just ask them for a copy of what they did and see,
Yeah.
or and other cities that have, I'm sure.
Yes.
Let's just get a copy of theirs and see what they did.
Okay,
Okay.
you got that?
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
Now we're going
right.
into discussions.
No, don't we have to allow recreational vehicles?
5.2.1.
Revisiting
That's under
resolution.
discussions.
Was under discussions?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just
Oh,
following. what
sorry.
I've gotten new directions from the,
Sorry,
Chief here,
okay, okay.
so now
Got it.
do you want to say what that is or do I say it?
It's fine. You can defer to me and
All right.
I'll introduce staff who'll provide the presentation.
Okay,
Yeah, so under agenda item 5.2 discussions, we have an item concerning revisiting resolution 23-07, allowing recreational vehicles as temporary housing. And for tonight's presentation, I'll defer to Dana Nichols.
All right, thank you. So in March of 2023, the city council approved resolution 2003, which, 2307, which allowed recreational vehicles as temporary housing with very specific guidelines set forth. I have those included in here for you. We did do some work on the city's website to make a very easy way for you to apply if you were interested. We only had 3 people who applied. So this was not like a wildly utilized or wildly successful measure. However, I'm sure the people who took advantage of it were grateful for that. I wanted to bring this to you tonight, not in another resolution to keep it going forward, but in a discussion item to see if this is something you want to continue to look at, in which case we might make a change to the code to allow for some sort of provision where you might have seasonal housing opportunities. It seems to only be an issue really in the summer when people are working at restaurants, or to just get rid of it altogether. So I provided all of the information in here for you, the guidelines in the old resolution, and I wanted to see what you all thought. So let me know if you have any questions.
I got a
I
question.
have a question too. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so you said there's only 3 people that actually applied to do it. Have we had any complaints on people that haven't applied and were doing it?
So I knew you would ask that. So we definitely have quite a few people who have RVs in their backyard who did not apply. I mean, you know from just driving around, there are more than 3 people in RVs, right? But we really only work on complaints.
Right.
And so we have not gotten any complaints about RVs that I'm aware of, although Richard could correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, and when complaints do come up, we deal with them on an as needed basis. But that's not to say that continuing to allow people to reside in RVs outside of what is allowed in our code is good practice, right? We shouldn't do that. So it might make sense to create some sort of opportunity for longer than a 1-month permit, because that's what our code currently allows, is a 1-month residential permit.
Okay.
I pull your mic down, Jerry, please.
No, I have a comment.
Figure out.
Yes.
On where I live, there was an extra large RV parked. It was fine. It parked in the parking space of the owner. With that, the owner parked on 4th Street, which meant he was in such a way that people coming along Bandon Avenue had to go into the street halfway to see cars coming. So that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like that would be a violation of our code. We do have, like I said, the 15.12, which regulates the use of RVs and how you can stay in them. And then we have 15.14, which regulates parking. And all of the parking requirements say that you've got to be out of that vision clearance area. It sounds like that became a problem.
Well, if it happens again, I'll let you know.
Yes, thank you. I was going to say, I am not driving around looking for problems. We have enough that come across our desk, but if you do see anything, feel
Well,
free.
no,
to
I
let us
live
know.
down there. That's why
Yeah.
I come to it all the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll let you know if I see it again.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Oh, I feel like it's addressing a serious problem that we have here. At least we're showing people that we're trying to address the housing. And I think unless it's caused problems, and if we haven't had any complaints about specific neighborhoods, I don't know why we wouldn't want to continue it, even if we do a 6-month review again.
What I want to ask though is, we're supposed to determine if it should remain in effect. So this is discussion only. But that to me means a motion and a vote.
I don't think you have to do that tonight, and maybe I'm splitting hairs here with the city attorney.
Yeah.
So the way the resolution is written is it doesn't have an end date, but it does say that the council will revisit the matter in October. So
Okay.
this, I took it as this is you all revisiting it.
Yeah.
But it's still in effect. I think if you wanted to continue it, we would have to draft a new resolution so that there was a clear sort of trajectory of how this all played out, but I do think it can remain in effect past October.
Shayla?
For purposes of record keeping,
I would suggest a motion, re-upping this resolution until you decide otherwise. So just a motion to continue this practice would be appropriate at this point.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to continue resolution 2307. Do we want to do like a date, a revisit date again like we did last time or what?
6 months again.
Do you want to, shall
Wanna
we
do it for 6
revisit in 6
months?
months? To
And then
revisit
we'll
it?
see what's going on in town?
Second.
Okay, for another 6 months.
Then moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh, that we approve resolution 2307 and revisit it in another 6 months. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, the next one. City manager, you want to read?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Agenda item 53.1, resolution number 2330, authorizing savings and checking accounts at Banner Bank. I'll defer to June for this presentation.
Hello, council. So this is just adding Mr. Contreras to the checking and savings account and removing Dan from the savings and checking account with the same signers and everybody there, just adding and removing.
Okay,
Okay, motion to approve resolution 23-30 to authorize Banner Bank authorized signers.
Second.
been moved by Madeline, seconded by Brian. All in favor? Unanimous. We don't believe we have any.
Consent agenda.
ordinances.
Hang on.
Now we have the consent agenda. Is there anything that anybody wants to move out, bring out to talk about separately?
Hang on. Where's the police report? Sorry. Oh, water plant. It is,
What's the
Hang on.
number?
hang on. I'm finding it in a minute.
Point.
Yeah,
What is it?
6.3.8.
3.8, okay.
Could someone get a report for Jim for our next city council meeting? Give it the water plant? Yeah,
Oh, you're ravish.
it's still like, we keep losing water. Some months are high, some months are okay. I mean, I don't know what our acceptable percentage rate is. If we have a monthly one, or do we just do by a year? Or 6 months, or? That's what I want to know, so.
Well, I don't think it's ever, I thought that at one point they said they thought it was equipment, that the way it was, but
But I thought
unfortunately,
that got fixed.
there's never any pluses. It averages 19% loss for the year. And that does seem, it used to be when we discussed this 4 or 5 years ago, when there was a utilities commission meeting, there would be pluses and minuses,
Mhm.
but there's no pluses
Nope.
here. So
And what I thought was interesting, that one of the high months was April of 2023. Isn't that when we had all of our snow abandoned?
25%. Yeah, it would be interesting to see if it's equipment or how we could be losing this much
I know
treated
we had
water.
computer problems, and I believe I read that that was fixed. So, but then we get this report and it's still happening. So if Jim could give us an update on what he feels it is, I'd appreciate that. And thank you, June, for doing such a great job at court. What else?
Oh, June, I thought you said Jim.
What? Who do you think I said?
I thought you said Jim and I thought, oh, I didn't know. No, I
Jim's
did.
not here. June is.
Now I hear you.
And good job to our police department, 41 speeding tickets this last month. I appreciate that. That's,
I don't like the police report.
well, I hate the way the
I
new
wish we
format
could
is
figure
horrible.
out, maybe we could figure out what happened about 3 months ago. Apparently the county changed their system and
Yep.
we haven't adapted to it or something because it's a pathetic report.
Yeah, I talked to Sarah
Mhm.
Thursday, and she's in the process of updating, trying to find the correct report, but that's the only one that she can find.
Okay.
Well, it's
As
better
of
than
now.
nothing, but it's
Right.
certainly not like it was 3 months ago. And usually when you upgrade things, you think it'll be better, but in this case,
Right,
it's anything but better.
right. And so with the staff changing down there, she hasn't had the person to come in and help. So as soon as that person is available, they'll come in and train her on finding the
Okay,
correct
okay,
report.
Good.
Yeah, I know. She's going through computer problems down there.
So do I hear a motion
Move to
to,
approve the consent agenda.
Second.
then moved by Peter, seconded by Josh and Brian to approve the consent agenda? All those in favor? Unanimous. Now time for public comment, and Claudine has asked, and she asked for a few more than 3 minutes, so don't ring the buzzer at 3 because I would hate to have her.
She'll
She's-
get mad.
She's gonna talk about an important subject, so we're gonna let her talk for not too long, but
Probably everybody knows because people used to comment so often about the big hedge that was on our property that was sculpted to look like a fortress. And my husband thought it was a marvelous creation. And of course it was gorse. And the trouble with things like that is that eventually you get too old to climb up a 20-foot ladder to make
sculpted.
it beautiful. So anyway, I partnered with the city to take it down. And they did that, and it's wonderful for a lot of reasons and not so good for others. But anyway, the places where it has been now, little shoots are coming up. And then I'm adjacent to a property that's owned by an absentee owner, lives in California. And the gorse there is a major problem, which Richard and is it Jason? Have temporarily resolved, which was very exciting and wonderful. And I thank them a million times over. But anyway, little shoots are starting to reappear in lots of places. And so I started to investigate the issue of finding a spray of some kind to abate this issue. And then one day I opened a mailer, and this mailer that came is from the Natural Resources Defense Council. And there was a personal letter from an actress I happen to like, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Maybe you all got copies of this in the mail, but anyway, she explains that the sprays that we are using to kill unwanted growth are killing the bees. And when we kill the bees, we kill our food sources. So I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I thought, well, I've got to figure out a way to deal with my gorse without using sprays. So I decided that I could spend X amount of time each day digging up little gorse plants. And I did that. And I have to tell you that I brought you some samples. I hope it's good. Small plant can have a root you wouldn't believe.
Oh my
And these
gosh.
things are tenacious. And I used my trusty gloves, which have that real impervious kind of interior surface, and a weed digger. And I put that in here too. And actually, I was able to get out a lot of gorse doing this. Now, is it easy? No. Not so much. But I avoided using spray in a pretty large area. And what occurred to me is that most of us think, okay, well, the city's doing this job for us and we're going to get this gorse and people are mowing it down. And after talking to Dan the other day, I realized that really the gorse abatement issue is a very, very serious ongoing problem, and it is very hard to deal with. And when we have our city staff using spray, they are being exposed, even though they try to, wear a mask and cover up and that kind of thing. They're being exposed to these chemicals that are not good for them. And so it occurred to me that maybe we need some kind of a program that encourages all abandoned citizens to have one of those gloves and a digger in the back of their car or in the in the bag on the back of their bicycle or in their big coat pockets. So when they're walking or cycling or maybe just parking someplace where they see a small gorse plant, go to it. You can, in some instances, it took me 5 or 10 minutes at least to get these plants out. But that's one less gorse plant, and we've got a lot of this stuff, and if we don't work together, we're not going to get it. And we cannot depend on atmospheric rivers to save us from fire because they're unpredictable. So we need to have everyone working together to try to address this issue. And we could even have the kids competing and maybe some kind of recognition or a prize for the kid that digs up the most gorse. There are lots of things we can consider that we can do as a community and as individuals to address this problem, and we really need to do it. I want to just tell you that one of the things that this the Natural Resources Defense Council has discovered in their research is that when bees pollinate plants that have been addressed with chemical sprays, they pick up whatever it is, and then they pollinate vegetables and flowers and things that we cut and use in our homes or that we eat. And now we're beginning to wonder why we have a high incidence of autism and why we have other kinds of health issues that are pretty bad. So we really do need to find solutions that are not chemically oriented. Anyway, that's my story. Thank you very much for the time to talk about this. And next time you see a little gorse plant, just get out your digger and your glove and have at it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Claudine.
Claudine.
Anyone else wish to address the council? Oh, come on up. Give your name. Claudine forgot to give her name, but we all knew who it was.
Yeah, my name's Neil Barlow. I live in Bandon. Excuse me. I'd like to thank all those that helped with the Johnson Creek Park Showcase 2 weekends ago. It has the potential to being a great asset. I feel it has a great potential to be a great asset to the community. I'd especially like to thank those who had the foresight to predict the property. Yeah, I think it's just going to be great. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone up on the Zoom wishes to weigh in? Okay, then we'll go on to other council, mayor, staff remarks. So we'll start with Dana.
I do have one. I wanted to let you know that on Thursday night, the Planning Commission held the first hearing for that Gravel Point project. We reached capacity both in City Hall, I mean, it was standing room only, and on Zoom, which we learned was 100 people. We did have some issues with the Facebook live streaming, which we normally do our Planning Commission meetings to, which I think sent a lot of people to Zoom. So the Planning Commission chose to continue the hearing completely. So there'll be an opportunity for everyone to provide public comment to this Thursday. So October 5th at 7 p.m. here. And we did increase the capacity of Zoom to 500 people. And I've also learned how to change it on the fly to 1,000 if we need to. And we'll be live streaming it to Zoom. So just wanted to let you know that there's another opportunity to provide public comment.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Shayla? Tori?
Yes, I'd just like to mention that in meeting with staff today and particularly the planning department, you know, I'm excited about all the development proposals and projects you have, you know, with a background in landscape architecture, which is my undergraduate degree, and 25 years as a community development director. My expertise in design, planning, development, you know, I think will be very well utilized here. We have an exceptional staff And I will do my part to contribute to that effort. And I'm looking forward to working with the community and unveiling, long-term vision that reflects the interest of the community, that of the city council, and that's sensitive to the rich history of Bandon, and also that is sensible as relates to the environment and the existing scenic vistas and the aesthetic along the coastline. So those are all things that I'm very excited about, and there's a lot of work ahead. Went to my realtor the other day, was looking at the house that we're moving into, and she informed me about the planning commission meeting. So I got a tip off from her. She asked me if I saw it. I said, no, I haven't seen it. What was on the agenda? And she told me about it. So first thing I came in today was, meeting with planning staff to get more details. So I appreciate your patience while I get up to speed, but looking forward to working with the city council and the community on these projects.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank
you. Brian?
Yeah, Tori, I'm really looking forward to working with you. I've been here a little over 45 years and I know a little bit about Bandon. So maybe if you ever have any questions, my main thing has always been infrastructure. I was instrumental in, getting the sewer plant upgraded, the water plant upgraded, got Bandon roads paved. We used to have dirt roads, folks. It wasn't that many years ago. And, that's just my interest, but you're welcome to give me a call anytime if you need any information. But thanks for coming aboard, and we're really looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, I'd like to also welcome Tori and his family. Hope you'll be happy here. And I thank Dana for expanding the
Hearing.
population that could listen to Blaine. Normally I got it on Facebook. I didn't get it and I couldn't get it online. That's okay, but I'm gonna listen and look.
You're not supposed to be
No,
eavesdropping on those meetings, Jerry.
no.
Oh, yes.
If it's
Well,
appealed, it
no,
comes
wait,
to
we have a
us.
different opinion
No,
than that.
see,
We
we-
have a
we
new opinion
We
and.
talked about that the other
Actually,
day.
Please tell us,
Actually,
because
Clark
I
said-
want
Well, I'm
to
glad,
assume
No,
and
not from
compare.
Kayla, from
No.
Tori.
Oh, okay.
No, we talked about that. Look,
I was just teasing, Jerry. I
oh,
was just
okay.
busting your
Yeah,
chops.
because I
Well,
remember.
I thought I
Let's
could,
not go in
But we
that
don't-
whole thing.
We do have a different opinion now. Tori
We don't-
wins that we can come to a meeting like that and sit in the back. We cannot come and
Oh, I won't
testify.
comment.
But we can come and listen as citizens of the community.
Right.
That is what Matt always told me.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's why I didn't zoom in on Thursday, because I thought,
You
nope,
wouldn't have
can't do
gotten
it,
that-
can't
you
do
wouldn't
it.
have gotten it Anyway,
We can't
Well, I
interact.
would have,
we
because I
can't
would have come in
Come
early.
up in front and talk or
Let's-
anything. We know we can.
No,
It's nice though, because people need, because this is a totally different.
yeah.
No,
Well, thank
I-
you.
No, one of the planning commission, at one of our meetings, I had mentioned that Mayor Judy Dinsmore, she said, no, don't do it. You can't go to any of the meetings. And
Well,
then
that
we
was what
talked
Fred
about
used to
it.
say, but Matt always
And
had a
that's
different
it.
opinion.
Yeah,
Matt had
that's
the
the
same opinion that.
First
Tori
thing I
has.
was told when I came on the council, 9 years ago,
I didn't tell you that,
it's gonna be appealed to the council, you cannot.
but we don't know it's going to appeal.
Doesn't matter, like,
Doesn't matter.
all we're trying to do is learn more.
Yeah,
We're not,
find out
we're not
what-
coming up here testifying for or against it or taking
We
any
don't know what's
position.
going on.
We're just trying to learn, and what better way to learn?
Okay,
than come
Dana,
here Where there's
let's stay on
hundreds of
track.
people.
Do you have time to replay last Thursday's meeting on Facebook or some platform before this Thursday?
I just uploaded it to the city's Facebook page.
Okay.
So you can, if you missed last Thursday's meeting, you
Right.
can watch it on YouTube,
Oh.
but the link is on the city's Facebook page.
Good.
Okay, and it didn't live stream on Facebook this last week, right?
Yeah, I couldn't
Okay,
get it.
because I had several people ask me about that and I didn't know.
we have a difference of opinion up here at this table, I guess, but if you are going to come, I would very much caution you to not have conversations on your way out the door with anybody in the audience or amongst yourselves in regards to what
Good
you've
point.
heard.
Yes,
And that
good
is
point.
not always that easy to do.
yeah,
You're right.
that's why I'm gonna Zoom.
I will not be in person.
My dog doesn't.
Anyway, that's the end of my.
And I'd just like to qualify my comments after 30 years of public sector experience in local government and working with numerous attorneys. It is the opinion of the attorneys I've worked with in the past that the city council, as representatives of the community, not as a consortium or group of a decision-making body of the city council, are more than welcome to attend public meetings as solely as observers.
Right.
Yes, not to participate,
No.
not to engage in conversation, as the city attorney indicated, but solely to observe the proceedings and again, to gain the information that will be necessary for you to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
You
that
have
makes me
anything
feel
else?
better.
No, you, yeah, that's all I've got. Okay,
Okay.
you,
Welcome, Tori. Thank you for accepting the position. Looking forward to working with you. Fireworks on Saturday was a fabulous tribute to Tony or Anthony. I call him Tony. And my dog was glad it was over fast, but it was nice. It was very nice.
beautiful. All right, now along with what Claudine said, I hate to bring down the hilarity here, but I'm working, we have a person in the hospital who is on a committee, a task force to study why Coos County has the highest rate of cancer in the entire state. And not only do we have the highest cancer rates, we have the highest percentage of people who actually die from cancer when they get cancer. So there is a group of people trying to figure it out. And of course, it's not just Bandon. I mean, you hear all sorts of things, oh, it's this or this or this, but it's the whole county. So Coos County that's an very unenviable statistic.
We're definitely not a green or blue zone.
No, we're not gonna be a blue zone. So anyway, that's just and welcome Tori, but I've already welcomed him, but we're very lucky. We're very fortunate to have Tori as our new city manager.
I've welcomed him as well, and I look forward to working with you. And I would also like to thank Mary Garrett, our volunteer of the month. And if you see her on the street, definitely give her a pat on the back.
I didn't, and Bill Benowitz died, but she said that, but I don't know if anybody heard.
And
it.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I knew Bill very well, and I hadn't heard that, so.
Welcome, Tori.
Sir.
Welcome. And June, thank you for this nice book. It was, I like the way everything was organized in there perfectly. Thank you.
You got one vote.
Yeah, June got one
I will
vote.
say, if it's too
Right.
much trouble.
Oh,
and
Brian,
everybody else-
you lost 6
don't-
to 1, no.
Don't do this.
Which then was something she learned at her
Yeah.
class and
I mean, it'd probably be okay, but I'm left-handed, so it doesn't work too well with
not
me.
okay for me. All right, I guess we're adjourned. Thank you.
Joined,
Joined.
Joined.
like,
Okay, I'll leave it here.